So, Space Marine 2 just came out, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I did not play the first one. Not for any particular reason, but when it came out, I was like 12. So, like, I didn't really know anything about Warhammer. I didn't know anything about the Almighty God Emperor or the Space Marines. I didn't know anything about that stuff. On that note of not really knowing what it was, I'll be perfectly honest with you. Back then, especially when I was like 11 or 12, anything that was like a card game or like a tabletop game, I pretty much decided that if I was going to do that, then I probably just liked being made fun of. And before you run to the comments to call me the N-word, let me finish. So, it was around like last year that I discovered Wes Hammer, who was like this big, massive lore YouTuber. And he makes amazing videos. Go check his content out. But he makes all these videos about all the different lore, all the different types of Space Marines, all the different factions, everything you can think of in Warhammer 40K, he makes it. And so one night after work, right, I'm sitting there and I'm tired and YouTube's on autoplay, and one of his videos about the God Emperor pops up in my feed. And I say, you know what, why not? I'll just let it play. I won't stop it and go to something else. And after that one video, I mean, I was completely hooked because there's something about the Grimdark that just sucks you in, and there's all the different factions and all the different, you know, chaos gods and all the crazy stuff that comes with Warhammer 40K is so interesting. So with the release of Space Marine 2, I had extremely high hopes for this release, but I'm gonna have to be honest here.
The game has one really big problem,
and that problem is that it didn't come out sooner. So,
Gotcha, bitch.
Without further ado, let's get into why I think Space Marine 2 might be the greatest Warhammer 40K game to ever come out, and why it might even be one of the best developed video games in history. Roll the clip. As you just saw, the game is absolutely phenomenal. I cannot stress that enough. There is no amount of money, I guess, other than like some astronomical amount of money that I would not pay to play this game. It is worth every penny. Go get it. Go buy it. Go play it. Play it 2, 3, 4 times if you want to. It's a great game. Get the game. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is the graphics in this game. Now, 2024 has seen some really graphic-intensive games. We just had Black Myth Wukong come out, and that game was really beautiful. Despite this being that studio's first major release, it was pretty well polished, despite, you know, a few issues here and there. But the graphics in Space Marines 2 it's insane how they were able to push the limit of the hardware that they were working with. So in this game, we're greeted with just absolutely dense, like textures. I mean, it seems like they may have had like 8 or 10K textures that have been sampled down and crushed down to make this beautiful atmosphere. You get these incredible skyboxes. I mean, you look up in the sky and you really feel like you're on some desolate planet that's in the middle of this massive galactic war, and you're just a blip on the face of it all. And it just feels amazing looking up at it and seeing the over the top, waves of enemies and going in the sky and planes crashing and artillery flying overhead. It looks amazing. I think what that does, it offers this like really purposeful contrast between like the beauty of like space, but then you pan the camera down and you just see this absolute monstrosity of a battle zone. And it's a great contrast. It looks great. It's picturesque. It sets the tone. And this is what we like to call great immersion. And so now I want to touch on the character models. The character models in this game are really good too. I mean, from the tech priests to the space marines to the Cadians that are fighting with you on the main planet. It is just insane how much detail is being put into these characters. The different pieces of armor moving as you walk, the lag in people's movement as they run with heavy guns and equipment. Even some of the little small conversations on the side that you see, on the main ship, the main fleet ship for the Astartes. You see all these different side conversations where you can see the tech priests and all their machinations and moving pieces. It just looks so good. I didn't see a single visible glitch, at least not during my playthrough. I didn't see any type of weird like T-posing, nothing crazy like that. It's just beautiful. It's just absolutely polished. Overall, I think the animation team did a really great job here. The animations when you're walking through different spaces, the animations when you're fighting, the animations of enemies are really good. I never saw any weird kind of clunky movements from like all the enemies. Even when there are literally 20 or 30 Tyranids on screen, it never looked, jagged or jank or however you want to call it. It just all looks smooth and polished. Every motion just feels organic and just like they spent time on this, and that's not something we've been seeing a lot lately. And the last thing I want to talk about in the graphics department is the atmosphere. I think Space Marine 2, aside from Black Myth Wukong, might have one of the best game atmospheres I have been in a really long time. I mean, it's just amazing how they capture everything that the Warhammer 40K universe is supposed to stand for. You walk into an area and you see piles of corpses. You walk into a dilapidated, crushed building that's been destroyed by the Tyranid, like landing in and destroying things and just ravaging every landscape. And it genuinely, offers the player some kind of reason as to why you have to stop these things. And it's storytelling through the surroundings. It's delivering a narrative without having to say anything. And so I think they've absolutely nailed the atmosphere, reading the books, listening to lore videos. This is everything that I imagined that the Warhammer 40K universe would be. And I'm just so happy that they were able to nail this. The next thing I want to talk about is the voice acting in this game. Listening to Titus and Gadriel and Chiron and all the other characters in this game, they have been played by people who understand their role.
Almost there. Through the main hub, then we're at the databanks. Expect heavy resistance. They wish to interfere with our objective. Our objective is of no concern to them. Their only wish is to kill us.
Who understand the scenario, who understand they're delivering news, good or bad, poor or unpoor. This is a stellar performance by the voice acting cast. We've got our 3 main Space Marine characters, and these are Titus, Gadriel, and Chiron. Now, Titus is your former Death Watch captain and your newly minted Primaris. And everything about his voice, everything about the way he carries himself, everything about the way his character is delivered is just astounding. It makes him feel so real, so gritty and dark, as he should be. You know, there are moments in the game where he is, you know, extremely cold despite everything that he's been through. He's very stoic, not too emotional about certain things. He's just always about the mission. He constantly says, you know, duty is all, duty is all, duty is all. And the voice actor, I think, did a phenomenal job with him. Now, Gadriel, this guy is extremely prideful. He comes off as very prideful, very, you know, set on living up to what it means to serve the Emperor. But he's also extremely loyal. You'll see this early in the game where there are certain, you know, friends of the group who pass away while they're fighting on the planet that they're on. And you notice that he is constantly, you know, referencing them, giving them reverence, you know, saying, you know, things like, you know, rest well, my brethren, and all these kind of things that, despite him being very prideful and this kind of arrogant character, you do get to see that he is still somewhat human. He's kept shreds of his humanity despite being a space marine with these altered, you know, parts and his altered being. He still cares for his brethren, and he shows a lot of respect to them even in death. And he's just a really great character, extremely well voice acted. Kudos to this voice actor as well. And then also we have Chiron. Now, Chiron's just your typical, you know, all about business third character. He shows a lot of resolve no matter the situation. He's always calm, always keeping the group, you know, where they need to be at. And is honestly serves as a mediator between Gadriel and Titus, who see things a lot differently, especially with Gadriel not really liking that Titus is so secretive about his past and not really, you know, seemingly not accepting them as his brethren kind of thing. And I really like his voice actor. I really like how their voices blend together and kind of make for a really nice dialogue, especially since they're all kind of got these deep, you know, really gruff voices. You would honestly expect that the voices would kind of get tiresome, or they, you know, become really stale and kind of get this kind of really, oh, I'm Batman kind of thing. But it just, you know, it's so, I don't know. The best way I can put it is the voice actors did an amazing job of building like chemistry as far as talking to each other and having banter. And it just feels so organic and so real. And kudos to them for that. The next thing I want to talk about is sound design. Sound design in this game has been really good so far. I played this game mostly with headphones. I also had a set of speakers set to the side so I could really get a feel of the world itself, get a feel of all different sounds and everything that I think I was hearing through the headphones, and make sure they were still punchy, still vibrant, still keeping the atmosphere together. And in my opinion, I honestly think that the sound design team has done a good a job as the same team that worked on the recently released Doom movies. I wouldn't say it's quite better, but I do think it's on par, if not very close to that type of quality. Not today. Mainly speaking about weapons, right? So the weapons in this game, they sound punchy. They sound direct. They sound like they have weight to them. The impact on every bullet, reloading has a nice sound to it. I mean, even melee attacks. Melee, as you rip through enemies, you hear the gush and the gore sounds. It sounds so good. It sounds like you're there, especially with headphones. I cannot like stress this enough. If you're going to play this game, speakers are great and all, but a good set of headphones makes this experience all the more immersive. I mean, just hearing, you know, bullets hitting your armor and bullets whizzing past your head and the ripping through enemies and, you know, reloading your bolter just to fire off another volley at another horde coming at you in a really tense situation makes for such a great experience playing this game. As I was mentioning before, like just the atmosphere of this game and the skyboxes, all the sounds that are included in those are balanced really well here. There's no one thing in the area that's too loud or, overcoming the battle. I think the only time the sound kind of mutes a little bit is when you enter like your Space Marine Fury mode. And even then, the sound kind of dims down so you can hear the roar of your Space Marine and the slash of your blade and all that kind of stuff. But it still is serviceable. You can still like just feel the care. And one thing that I really wanted to point out that I thought was just an insane level of detail was there is a combat mechanic where you do like a parry, or really it's more so like a counter parry kind of thing. And even though it's extremely forgiving, you can actually hear, if you're wearing headphones, you can hear the direction that the enemy is heading in your direction in. Or if they jump in your direction, you can actually hear them. And there were a lot of times where I was playing and being surrounded, and I could hear the little ding of the enemy getting ready to pounce, and then hearing them roar and jump and pan into that part of my headphones. And I actually stopped them. It was really cool. So kudos to the sound design team or anybody who works in the sound. That was amazing. It was very spatial, very good. I mean, what more can you ask for? Now I'm going to get to the part that I think everybody's probably been waiting for, and that's the gameplay. Now, the gameplay in this game is very simple. It's very direct. Nothing too clunky. I would say playing on PC versus playing with a keyboard versus playing with a controller. Playing with the keyboard's a little clunky just because of how some of the buttons are and having to counter and parry, but that just may be for me not starting out my life playing on PC, mostly playing on controller most of my life, and only recently picking up playing on PC. But I think this game does feel a lot better on controller, but that's just my opinion. In my opinion, the game feels better on controller, and that's for one primary reason, but I'll get to that in a minute. But the combat in this game, we'll start with the melee combat. So melee combat in this game is oh so satisfying. There is no better feeling than slicing through 10, 15, 20 Tyranids and seeing the carnage that you leave in your path. I mean, you read in the lore about how powerful Space Marines are. You read about all their different augmentations, all the things that make them a better soldier than your standard Astartes. But my goodness, does the melee combat not capitalize on those feelings and on those descriptions? I mean, when you slice through an enemy, you hear the rip of their flesh. You see their head fly in one direction, another body part go in the other way, and they just disintegrate almost. You just slice through them like butter, and it's so fun. In the melee combat, there's also a dodge and parry mechanic, and sometimes dodging attacks can be clunky, and I think that's kind of just naturally a part of it, right? Like, you've got this really heavy Space Marine, doing this really kind of awkward dodging animation to get out of the way. It looks bad kind of when you are dodging for no reason or reflexively dodging or just dodging and it doesn't exactly line up with when the enemy was about to attack you. It looks kind of goofy sometimes, but other than that, it works for the most part, especially when you're fighting a lot larger, a lot more aggressive enemies like the Tyranid lieutenants who've got their whip blades and crazy long swords and stuff like that. It works for the most part. And the parry is so fun because even though, again, and I know there's probably going to be people that complain about this and say, oh, the parry's too forgiving, it's not too, da-da-da-da. I don't care. I think what Space Marines has done with their combat is what games need more of. Nobody wants to come home from work, especially not me. Now that I'm an adult, I used to oh man, people think these games are hard. They should just, get better at the game, da-da-da. I have a job now, and to be honest, I don't want to have to sit here and learn iframes so that I can play a game. I want to come home, kill some aliens, and have fun. Not have to play a level over and over and over and over again until I beat an enemy. And that's just me. I don't know about you. I know you're probably if you're a super hardcore Dark Souls fan or, you played Elden Ring in the last couple of years or so and you're like, oh, everybody should just, learn how to dodge better, learn how to, okay, cool. Sure. That's you. That is you. But the vast majority of people just want to play a game and feel good. And when you allow people to play a game and feel good, you get what you have, which is this success in melee combat. when you catch an enemy and you sling them to the ground, or you catch them and you rip them in half, or even better, when you parry enemy and then you get the what they do is that if you parry an enemy at the right time, it will allow you to do a like kind of short bolt gun attack. And oh man, the slow mo on that, it doesn't matter how many times you do it, it never gets old. You parry the guy, they seem a little dazed, and then you pull out that bolt gun in slow mo and you boom, let them have it. It can't get better than that. I honestly, it cannot get much better than that. As far as the gunplay goes, the gunplay is pretty samey for the most part. Like I said, the weapons do sound really good and they feel great too. But for the most part, a bolt gun is a bolt gun. There's only 3 or 4 other variations. You got, the plasma pistol, then you got the melter rifle. You do have the pyro Mancer thing. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's basically a flamethrower. That weapon was kind of cool for the missions that it was useful for, but other than that, the bolt guns are fun to shoot. They all kind of do the same thing, except for I would say the heavy bolt gun and then the long range sniper one are the two that feel the most distinct. But the rest of the other ones, they just kind of change the fire rate and the skin. And yeah, I mean, it's serviceable. It's fun. It doesn't need to be overcomplicated. I like it. But I think overall, the combat is a really strong point of this game just because it's simple, it's fun, it's not too hard, it's not so easy that you just are untouchable, which I wouldn't be mad at, but hey, it's just old school fun. No crazy metas, nothing I have to do to, perfectly dodge this thing. I just get to kill aliens. And look at the work that I've accomplished in real time. It's just great. I can't complain about the combat. And honestly, it feels like Gears of War in some ways, and I think I've seen this comparison a lot out there. It feels like Gears of War in some ways just because of how much gore and how much action there is around, hitting things with your chainsaw and things like that. It feels like that. But at the same time, the larger arenas that you get, arenas are kind of like the ones in Halo where it makes it feel more personal. It makes you feel like you're changing the tide. Versus I think in Gears of War is a little bit more cover to cover and linear, and you're just kind of trying to get from one area of area A and then get to area B and vice versa. It just felt more personal to me when I was handling my business, if you get what I'm saying. So, yeah. After gameplay, I want to talk about the game modes. So, in this game, you get 3 main game modes. You get the campaign, you get the operations, and then you get Eternal War. Now, the campaign is obviously your standard campaign. I don't want to go into the campaign too much in this video just because I don't want to spoil this for any game for anybody. I don't like when people spoil things for me, so I'm not going to put any spoils in here. But the campaign is very good. It's serviceable. You need to play it. Just play it. Just take my word for it and play it. And so the operations game mode, is basically giving you the ability to play the game from another perspective of another set of Space Marines. And I thought this was a really cool thing. It offers for great replayability for the game. It offers you a different side of the story that you probably would not have seen had you not played that. So kudos to them for throwing that in there. In most games nowadays, that would have been some $200 DLC if you swiped your mom's credit card. But they're proving that you do not need to do those type of things in games to make money. If you just make a good game, people will play the game, recommend the game to other people, and you will make money because people are going to be playing the game so they can play it with their friends. And that leads me into the next game mode, which is Eternal War. Now, Eternal War is the PvP style game mode. The PvP I have not played a lot of, but from what I've seen, it is very intuitive, although I think it does kind of get samey after a while just because, like with everything else, people meta everything. People try to, find a way to make the game streamlined and less fun. So I don't think the PvP element of the game is mind-blowing or game-changing or anything, but it's great that they added it. I'm glad that they, are giving the game some extra life by giving these different game modes some things. And it's honestly just a great thing in general that they put that in there, because it's also a PvE mode as well, where you get to play with your friends and continue some more of the, gameplay. So I have no qualms with it. If you like it, let me know in the comments below how you feel about the combat and the PvP. I need to probably try it a little bit more before I go and say a whole lot good or bad about it. But yeah, the thing I want to talk about is the performance. Now, the performance in this game was again, just super good off the bat. Like day one, I had maybe one issue, but other than that, I mean, I've got a 2070 Super that's starting to show its age now on these newer titles, and man, this game ran pretty perfect. And I think the only time it actually had any issues was it slowed down during a cutscene, but I was also streaming the game too, so I was streaming and running this at quality settings. And once I got to a really intensive cutscene, it kind of slowed down a little bit and it kind of chugged, but it kept moving. It just started moving at like a steady 15 FPS, which was weird, but I mean, it didn't crash, it didn't break. The game just kept going on. I just changed the setting, down from quality to a less intensive setting, and I mean, the game just kept on chugging. I mean, it was like it didn't even know that it was slowing down. So kudos to them for optimizing a game on PC for once. A lot of the games that come out, they have these massive day one patches that don't even seem to do anything but, fix some weird, level issue or character issue with T-posing and stuff. But the performance thing always takes months and months and months. So kudos to them for actually having a game come out pretty solid first day. The last things I want to touch on in this game is the controversy around it. So I'm sure some of you have seen there's been controversy about this game regarding, whether it's so masculine that it's somehow misogynistic or whatever, or, the issue with the CEO supposedly commenting, on Asmongold's reaction video about the game and how, people are just tired of not being able to play a character who's just so self-indulgent and just not a cool person. You know what I mean? Just somebody who you are like, yeah, this guy's cool. He's, super. I don't know what the right word is for it, honestly. The right word, I guess, would be just a more masculine figure, more masculine character. Somebody who, is for the demographic. And there have been a lot of online comments about this suggesting that, the game is either misogynistic or some other SJW, social justice warrior term that has nothing to do with the game. This is a game that is based on fiction that is literally based around the phrase grim, dark future. I don't think there's any politics in that. I don't think there's any, reason to try to impress your own morals onto this. It's a fictional thing. Let it be fictional. Let it be what it's supposed to be. And I think the studio Saber that put this game together did an amazing job at doing that. And I think we as a community should just leave it at that and stop, trying to police every single game that comes out. If the game's bad, it's bad. If the game's good, it's good. Just let be and let go. But with that being said, I think Space Marine 2 might be one of the best developed games that I've seen in a long time. It's been a while since we've gotten just a good kind of old school shooter that works well on day one, has great voice acting, great cutscenes, great storytelling, and just overall just a great game to have fun with. And it's not too hard, it's not too easy. It's just overall a great game. If I had to give it a rating, it'd probably be like a slap 9 out of 10. Only thing stopping it from being perfect is just a few things here and there that, could be better per se, or, be, as great as this other game. But, I mean, at that point, I'm just nitpicking, right? So, yeah. If you haven't gotten this game already, I'm endorsing it. Go buy it. Go play it. You're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to have a great time. And while you're at it, you might even get into the Warhammer 40K lore. it's really good stuff, in my opinion. I wish they would do more with it like this, and less, you know, tabletop kind of stuff. And even though there is a community for that, it would just be nice to see, you know, some movies or, you know, more video games, more media like this that really gives you a depiction of what this is. Audiobooks can really only do so much. Tabletop, you know, kind of narratives can only do so much. It's just great to have some good quality media for the lore community to go off of, and the tabletop community, everybody in the Warhammer 40K community. It's just great to have these things to bring the community together in love for the franchise. That'll be it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it this far, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you like this video, let me know down in the comments. Let me know how you felt about the game and what you think it could do better, or what you'd like to see more of from, you know, the Warhammer 40K universe in the media. This has been Milza, signing off.